Thank you to everyone for attending the Community Foundation's virtual meeting tonight. And as always, we appreciate your patience if we have any technical hiccups. A couple of technical items before we get to the content of tonight's meeting. On September 16th, 2021, the Governor of California signed AB 361, suspending certain provisions of the Ralph M. Brown Act in order to allow for local legislative bodies to conduct their meetings telephonically or by other electronic means. To reduce the spread of COVID-19, meetings of the San Bruno Community Foundation's Board of Directors are being conducted electronically. Please know that we want to hear from you. If you are in the audience and you would like to address the board during public comment for items not on the agenda or in any of the agenda items, please use the raise your hand button at the bottom of the Zoom screen. Once you've raised your hand, the executive director will see that someone wants to talk and she will let me know that you are waiting. When it's your turn to speak, the executive director will call your name. She will unmute you and you will be given 3 minutes to address the board. If you are joining us by telephone, and you may also address the board during the public comment by pressing *9, and the executive director again will address you and unmute you. You will be also given 3 minutes to address the board. Please note anyone in attendance may only speak once per agenda item. Leslie, do we have any emails from the public?
We do not.
Okay. All right, so let's begin the meeting. I now call the regular meeting of the San Bruno Community Foundation's Board of Directors of November 2nd, 2022 to order. And it's so good to see all of you tonight. We have a full agenda, so let's get started. Secretary Gomez, I'll turn the time over to you for a roll call, please.
Thank you, President Donna Jones. So for tonight, Board Member Irving Torres is excused. He actually has a medical issue and he apologizes and that he won't be able to join us tonight. Next board member would be Superior Perry.
Present.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Here.
Treasurer Pac-Lin.
Here.
Secretary Raul Gomez is here. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Here.
And President Melissa Antoni Jones.
Here.
Great, all accounted for.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Item number 3, would any members of the public like to address the board on a topic not on the agenda? If so, please indicate by using the raise your hand button at the bottom of the Zoom screen.
I do not see any hands raised. Oh, we do have one hand raised. I'm going to be bringing in Josh at Twice as Nice. Josh, just give me a second and I'll allow you to talk.
Okay.
Are you ready? Hi, good evening. This is Sedana and Josh, business owners at Twice as Nice. We would like to comment on Community Day, or a bit more on events for downtown in general, including the beautification of our downtown and why the funding from the foundation is necessary. As for events, this last holiday season, we put together a Christmas food drive for St. Bruno's Church. We hosted a meet and greet for Santa for the kids and an egg hunt with the Easter Bunny in March at Centennial Park. And just this past week, we had our biggest turnout yet. Our Halloween trick-or-treat event brought in so many new faces from other cities nearby. Hundreds of people were walking the Ave with friends and family. With all this new foot traffic, our businesses and restaurants were being noticed by many for the first time. What we were overhearing people say as they were passing by was, wow, I never knew this was down here, or this is our first time coming downtown and we just live up the hill. When we asked why they don't come downtown, some of the responses were, there's not much that brings us down here, or it's not as nice as some of the other cities. Or they would say, we simply forgot about downtown San Bruno. Now, as a small business owner on the Ave, it's frustrating because even with some of the small events that the merchants have put on, I know it's possible to get people downtown with just a little time and hard work and energy. But what we need is for people to want to stay downtown after an event, shop and dine and hang out and feel safe. We need more support and attention from our city council and the foundation. Why doesn't the city invest in more events in downtown? Why can't we invest in some of the improvements and make our downtown more inviting and nicer? I do believe the Centennial Plaza Improvement Project would be a great start, but we need those improvements to trickle down into the Ave. We need trees, benches, hanging flower baskets on the light poles, better lighting, beautifying the Ave with some colorful flowers and foliage plants. We need the city streetscape plan. During the Community Listening Campaign 2.0, the community was asked using various outreach and engagement methods, as you know, and one of the questions on the survey was, what do you see as the most critical need in downtown San Bruno at this time? The number one item on the list was the downtown revitalization and beautification. Number 4 was the community events and activities. And we do see events being held by various programs and organizations, the city included, but unfortunately for us small businesses, a lot of these events are not happening downtown. Why is that? Are we not proud of our downtown? And if the answer is no, I'd ask yourself why. When was the last time you and your family took a stroll down the Ave? Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Leslie, are there any other comments from the public?
I do not see any.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for that comment. We're gonna move over to item number 4 on the agenda, presentation from the Heart of San Bruno, pin presentation to the San Bruno Community Foundation Board of Directors by the City of San Bruno's Community Services Department. Ann Matola, Community Services Director from the City of San Bruno, would like to do a special presentation. Ann, good to see you and welcome.
Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I'm very excited to be here this evening for a variety of reasons. But this first one is something which is really meaningful. And I just wanted to ask Leslie, can I bring up the slide that I have? Can I share?
You should have sharing capability.
Can everyone see this pin or is it not sharing yet?
It's not sharing. Do you want me to share?
Yeah, if you have it, that would be good. And I'll figure it out for the
Okay.
next presentation. Oh, because I didn't press share screen.
Oh,
I'm going to try it again.
go ahead.
There we go.
There,
All
it's
right.
going.
Hello, here we go. That's better, right? Okay, so I'm here, and this is very special, not only to me, but everybody within the Community Services Department. And I'm here on behalf of our entire Community Services Department to thank you, to sincerely thank you for this extraordinary partnership that we have with the San Bruno Community Foundation, and really the impact that you've had on improving recreational experiences for the community. And I mean, and it's very profound, not only with the RAC, but the other types of funding that you've provided. Community Day is just one of them. In the past year, the Community Services Department, we began thinking about how fortunate we are to be working in a community where there are so many partners who actively support and engage in our programs. Many of us have worked in a number of communities, and this is something which is very unique to San Bruno, the spirit of giving. And in our minds, it's the spirit of giving that truly makes San Bruno the city with the heart. So because of this, as a department, from a staff level, you know, we see these different awards being given to different community members from other community members, but as staff, we really wanted people to know how much we appreciate the generous spirit of the community. And so we kind of created these Heart of San Bruno pins, the lapel pins. I'm wearing one so you can see the scale here. And it's really just a way for us to demonstrate to you how much we appreciate this work that you do in the community to improve the quality of life. And quite honestly, you know, I enjoy coming to the meeting when you have your different grant recipients report back and you see this amazing impact. I still can remember quite, you know, vividly, most recently, the presentation of the music program that you had. and the different comments from the teachers and the extraordinary impact on the lives of the students that are being able to have access to these music programs because of your generosity. I mean, your reach is beyond our department. We recognize it. We really appreciate it. And so this is our way of thanking you for your commitment to supporting all these different recreational opportunities within our community. And these were dropped in the mail to each of you. So the board members past and present will be receiving these. So thank you again. And I look forward to talking to you a little bit later in the meeting.
Thank you so much, Anne. Are there any comments from the board? No? Well, I have one.
Thank you.
Thank you to the City of San Bruno, always in partnership. This work is not easy, but certainly when you have a partner in the community, like the city, your department, and it just makes things so much seamless in the work that we do for the community. So thank you. I appreciate it. I'm going to sport my pin. So thanks again. Anyone else from the board?
If I may, Melissa,
Yes, please.
it's really special when any entity, especially the San Bruno Community Foundation, gets recognized by the people that are doing the work every day in this city. It's just a very special recognition for us, but especially from where it comes from. You guys are there 24 hours a day doing all this stuff, and to take time out and actually thank us for cooperating it goes to my heart. So thank you, Anne, and please thank all of staff too.
I sure will. I mean, it really is our pleasure. I mean, we often talk about, yeah, I mean, you're all very aware of, even, I've said this before, just having you as this consistent through line with the project. And some of you from the foundation have been with the RAC project from the community listening in the inception. And that hasn't been the case with staff. And it has meant so much of us to have this real stable partner to kind of see us through and guide us. And the engagement with it is beyond anything that I've experienced in my professional career. And it really is extraordinary. So it's heartfelt. So thank you. We have a mutual admiration club here.
Secretary Gomez?
Thank you, President Natani Jones, and Jim for saving my voice for the rest of the night. But Anne, thank you for the collaboration. And I really, again, love all of your presentations that you have provided to the Community Foundation. I always find them very engaging and exciting, and just really fun to see what the future of San Bruno is going to look like. So again, looking forward to the continued collaboration, and really thank you for the pin. That's very a nice gesture, and I will wear it with pride. So thank you.
Thank you, Secretary Gomez. Are there comments from the public? No? Okay, great. Thanks again, Anne. Always a pleasure to see you. We're going to move over to item number 5 and approval of minutes. And I'll turn the time over to Secretary Gomez.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. So Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Superior Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Paglin.
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is aye. Vice President Jim Roy.
Aye.
And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye.
We actually didn't have a motion and a second to approve the minutes. If we could get that just for the record.
I will make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is that sufficient, Heather and Leslie?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, we're good.
Thank you so much. Okay, we are going to move over to item number 6, Executive Director's Report, and I'll turn the time over to Leslie.
Thank you. Good evening. It's great to see everyone tonight. The packet contains my full Executive Director's Report, and since we have a packed meeting, in the interest of time, I'm just going to hit some of the highlights for you. First of all, the 2023 meeting calendar. We are fast approaching the end of 2022, and I just want to make sure you all get the first Wednesday of the month on your calendars for 2023. So just make sure you get those marked down. We may also have one additional special meeting in January for our DEI session that the board had committed to. We will likely need to schedule a special meeting for that. So I will be in touch to schedule that. Also just want to give you a heads up that the governor of California did announce that he plans to end the COVID-19 state of emergency on February 28th, 2023. And at that point, the board will likely need to return to an in-person or more likely hybrid meeting format. So stay tuned for more information on as we make that transition back to in-person meetings. Probably won't then happen until, towards the beginning of 2023. We'll keep you posted. Wanted to give you an update on our fundraising analysis project. As I reported last month, we have contracted with the Partnership Resources Group to provide a high-level analysis of the foundation's fundraising potential and the projected costs of adding an active fundraising campaign to our operations. I met with Melissa Irish and Elliot Levin, who are our two main point people at PRG last week. We talked about our goals for this project and their analysis, and I followed up with additional information for them so they can start their research. They asked for a list of potential stakeholders that they could interview to get a better lay of the land, people who kind of know San Bruno. So they're going to start some interviews, and they're also going to do their research on potential fundraising targets for an entity like ours. The goal is for PRG to complete its analysis by the end of the year and then report back most likely at our February 2023 meeting is what it's looking like. So we'll keep you updated on how that analysis is continuing. Some of you may be getting called to provide feedback in that process. I also am pleased to report that I've selected Jana Kaiser of Libertiva as our DEI consultant to partner with us to continue the diversity, equity, and inclusion work that we began in 2021 as part of our strategic planning process. Jana is a social entrepreneur and educator with more than 20 years of experience in the DEI space. She's based in the Bay Area and has extensive experience working in San Mateo County, where she has served as executive director of Redwood City 2020, which is now called Redwood City Together. And she's currently the chief consultant to the city of Redwood City on its DEI efforts. So she is familiar with our area. We have executed the professional services agreement, and I will have my first planning meeting with her tomorrow. She will be providing individual training for the new board members and our new program manager, as well as conducting a full board session, likely in January, as I mentioned before. So that is my report. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Leslie. Any questions from the board, comments? No? Okay. Are there any questions from the public?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, great. Thank you so much then, Leslie. If there are no hands, this is an item to take any actions and to move on. Item number 7 on the agenda this evening, consent calendar. We have 2 items on the consent calendar today as listed on the agenda. Unless there are any questions, I call for a motion to adopt the consent calendar.
So moved. I'll second Jim.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I will turn it over to Terry Gomez.
Thank you, President Nadani Jones. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Supriya Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pack Lynn,
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an aye, Vice President Jim Royan,
Aye.
and President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye. Awesome. Thank you so much, Secretary Gomez.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 8, conduct of business. Board Member Gomez is chair of the committee, or excuse me, will receive a report from the audit committee and presentation from Novogradac and Company regarding the San Bruno Community Foundation's audited financial statements for the year ending on June 30th, 2022. And adoption resolution approving the foundation's audited financial statements for the year end of June 30th, 2022. And so Secretary Gomez is chair of this committee and will introduce the report.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Earlier this year, the board approved an engagement with the Novogradac and Company to conduct the annual audit of our foundation's financial statements and prepare the foundation's federal and state tax returns for the fiscal year ended in June 30th, 22. In July, the accounting consultant Frank Bittner and executive director Leslie Hadamia began preparing the financial reports and documentation for the audit, submitting of all of the requested materials by August 22nd. The Novogradac team, which was again held by partner Lance Smith, examined the foundation's financial records, accounts, business transactions, accounting practices, and internal controls. Leslie and Frank responded to several follow-up requests and additional information from the Novogradac team. And then on October 17th, the audit committee met to discuss the Novogradac team, the draft audited financial statements that the Novogradac team had prepared. Following the meeting, the Novogradac team had produced the final audit report and the AU-C 260 letter, which were in your meeting packet. It is my pleasure to introduce Lance Smith, who will walk the board through the audited financial statements. Lance?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, to be able to share these with you. I'll go ahead and show you the beautiful document here, but it was our pleasure to be able to prepare and work with. And I want to thank Leslie and her team for the help in being able to get to where we are. And as noted, I've been able to meet with some of you on the audit committee already and being able to go through these, but I'll give a little bit higher level view and just note some of the highest items on the financial statements. I think a particular note, I've highlighted some of the key areas here, and I think it could be boiled down to, it's all about what was the suspense from last year when we announced in the subsequent events that the grant for the rec center had been awarded just right after the year end. This year, you actually see that come in. So on the statement of financial position, I'll jump back to that. We'll see two changes here, program services here, which has gone up tremendously, but this is the grant and this is that award for the rec center coming through as an expense. What is still left to be paid is what is left here on the accrued grants, and that's, you'll see a significant change there. So that will continue to go down as the work continues to progress on the rec center. So the other item I noted is a significant change decrease. Of course, it takes money to award that grant. So part of that, the decrease in investments is partially due to funding of the grant that paid, but it also is also due to market conditions that were a little harsher this year than they were in the prior year. So your investments, you received $7.8 million last year. You're down $6 million in net investments this year. So those are the significant items to be able to bring up. A couple items there. What does that mean to the liquidity of the organization? I think it's helpful to kind of note what is happening there. Note 3 is noting, although you had $51 million last year, you've got still got $7.3 million of liquidity within the organization after settling all obligations that your commitments to. They'll be able to fund normal operations of the organization. So, and that the rest of the notes kind of goes to some of the details. You've got the investment details, what is elemented in there. But I would definitely say for this year, it's all about that grant coming through, being able to award the grant. If anybody has other questions, I'd be happy to entertain that, but I don't want to take too much time going to too much detail because I know accountants can put people to sleep rather quickly.
Thank you, Lance. Are there any questions from the board?
Actually, I just have one addition, President Donnie Jones. In addition, the Novogradac team has prepared the foundation's federal and state tax returns, which earlier this week Leslie circulated to the board for review. So the plan is to finalize the returns and submit them by November 15th deadline. So just want to ask, are there any questions or comments on our tax returns? I see none, so I'll turn it back to you, Melissa. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the public regarding this item?
I don't see any.
Okay, great. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution approving the foundation's audited financial statements for the year ending June 30th, 2022?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. I'll turn it over to Raul for a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Superior Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pat Lynn.
Aye.
Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Melissa Natani Jones.
Aye.
All accounted for.
Great. Thank you so much. And thank you, Lance. Always good to see you. Thank you.
Thank you for inviting me. It's a pleasure. And I'll look forward to finishing that up with the tax return and wrapping up this year.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
We're going to move over to item B, receive report from the ad hoc committee on Centennial Plaza project and adopt a resolution approving strategic grant supporting the Centennial Plaza improvement project to the city of San Bruno in the amount of $500,000. Board member Perry is chair of this committee, will introduce the report and our guests.
Thank you so much, President Natani Jones. Okay, so I have the pleasure to introduce Community Services Director Ann Matola and Brian Fletcher. I just want to introduce to the board the report. So on behalf of the ad hoc committee on Centennial Plaza project, I'm pleased to bring the board our recommendation for a strategic grant supporting the city's Centennial Plaza improvement project. The plaza area is located at the intersection of Genevieve Avenue and San Mateo Avenue in downtown San Bruno. It's currently closed, and it's been closed to members of the public and actually been barricaded with ropes. The area has never been landscaped, and there's subsurface footings from a prior structure that occupied the space that have not been mitigated or removed. Led by the city's City Council Downtown Committee, the city has developed a plan to renovate Centennial Plaza into a usable community gathering space that can be used for resting, outdoor dining, and entertainment in a park setting. It's part of the downtown streetscape greening and landscaping and park improvement effort. After the city provided the board with an overview of the plans, on September 7th, the board created the ad hoc committee on Centennial Plaza project. The city submitted a formal proposal for a strategic grant to support the project, and the committee met on October 17th to discuss the city's proposal. The committee members expressed strong enthusiasm for the project and its potential to serve as a focal point and as an attractive gathering place in downtown. on a personal note, I'll say that I actually went on Saturday to the downtown merchants trick-or-treating, and we were there from about 3:30 to 5, and it was just hopping the entire time. It really, I just saw San Mateo, where I take my kids for classes and other things, so energized when there was an event, an activity in the downtown space. So it just, for me, it just further affirmed the value of this project. Because the city's staff's plan is to bring a funding request to the city council for the remaining amount of funding that is projected as necessary of $262,437. So the project can be fully foundation. The foundation board approval of the $500,000 grant that we're recommending is, we discussed, concern as to ensuring that after the San Bruno Community Foundation makes our grant, that there is funding to fully complete the project. So the recommendation is that the full board approve the strategic grant in the amount of $500,000 to the city of San Bruno to support the Centennial Plaza Improvement Project, with the payment of the grant contingent on the city council approving the $262,437 in city funds, so that the project can proceed having been fully funded. The resolution before the board includes language emphasizing the foundation's commitment to supporting downtown San Bruno and highlighting the many grants the foundation has already approved benefiting the downtown area. Tonight we have, as I mentioned, Community Services Director Ann Matola and Brian Fletcher of Calendar Associates Landscape Architecture to give the board an update on the city's plans for Centennial Plaza and to answer any questions about the grant proposal, including the budget. The board will then consider the resolution. Ann and Brian.
Great. Well, thank you. Well, I'm not going to talk that much. I'm bookending my speaking for the evening, but Brian's here, and it's always wonderful to hear from the designer's perspective, the walkthrough of the plaza. So he's going to give you the overview, and of course, we're here to answer any questions you have.
Fantastic. Thank you, Madam President and board members. I really appreciate the opportunity to come before you tonight and to walk you through this really exciting project for us and for the community at large. I will give a brief presentation and definitely hear and welcome for additional comments and questions that you may have about the project itself. As many of you are familiar with the kind of existing conditions of the site, which I'll walk through here, it's currently inaccessible to the public for the most part. As you can see in that top middle photograph, we do have a small seating area that's directly behind the sidewalk of San Mateo Avenue, but beyond that, there really isn't much for the public to utilize within the park unless it's during one of the community events. If you were there during community days, you saw that there was a large stage that was placed behind the bollards, and that was utilized for that, as well as the city does Christmas tree as well, kind of behind those bollards. But the existing conditions, there's not much on a day-to-day basis that the public can access. You can see in the bottom left-hand corner, this is kind of how the park opens up to San Mateo Avenue and the existing sidewalks that are out there. Why am I showing you this? I think it's important that this project provide a catalyst that can show people what improvements on San Mateo Avenue could actually look like. So what new sidewalks, what new street trees, what new furniture could actually look like to get excited about continuing those improvements along San Mateo Avenue. Finally, you'll notice in the bottom two images in the middle and on the right-hand side, there is an existing asphalt walk that provides access from San Mateo Avenue to the parking lot that's behind the project site. So that gives you kind of an overview of the existing conditions. And now I'll walk you through the conceptual plan that's been developed for the park itself. We're calling Centennial Plaza. So I'll walk you through this, first going from left side, which is San Mateo Avenue, to the right side, kind of off the graphic and in the white. That's where the parking lot is currently. On the top and bottom, West Coast Cafe is on the bottom, and an additional retail is on the top of the site. It's just to give you an orientation of how to look at this drawing, because we're looking down on the drawing in this plan view. So as I mentioned, we do want to address San Mateo Avenue as it is adjacent to the park site. So what you'll notice is that a new planter has been proposed along San Mateo Avenue that would provide an opportunity for a healthy environment for street trees to grow. Right now, street trees are currently in pots and constrained and don't really grow to their full potential. By having a planting area like this, they would have a much more beneficial environment to grow in. That'll also provide a little bit of a buffer between San Mateo Avenue traffic and the upper plaza space where people will be congregating. So it'll provide a much more enclosed environment and less impact from the street itself. You'll also notice some small squares along that planter strip. Those are actually seat blocks that provide double function. They provide a seating area, but they also provide a little bit protection because this is a T intersection. It would provide a little bit of protection from cars that may go awry, and it provides a little bit of protection for the plaza itself. So then moving into the site is basically two main elements. There's an upper plaza and then a lower kind of family play zone at the bottom with the tan pavement. And connecting the two is a small pathway to make up grade, because there actually is grade from San Mateo Avenue down to the parking lot itself. So first, taking a look at the upper plaza, and I think you guys can see my cursor. We're trying to keep this upper plaza very flexible in so that it can be used for a multitude of events. You'll notice besides some movable picnic tables, we're really trying to keep it very open so that a large stage could be put there for community day. The Christmas tree could be located in there, and we'd have tie downs for that as well. So allowing for flexibility is the key for this upper plaza. Up at the upper right-hand corner of the plaza, we are proposing a small stage area. So on a weekly basis and on weekends, you could see a small band playing some music here to support events that could be going on. You can have a small performance with kids and such. So this would be a place that could be programmed for community events without having to bring in a larger stage. We do have accessible ramp to get up to that stage. And what you don't see in this image is actually there would be a covered trellis above the stage as well. You'll see a small picnic area. So these would be tables, picnic tables, and what these dashed lines represent, those are actually festoon lights. These are string lights that would provide some ambiance at night, but also for security and safety lighting at night as well. Then moving down the pathway is the lower family space, and this would be a small play area. Again, this would be for smaller children and generally small kind of climbing features rather than a large play structure. And then we're having seating for parents and a little bit different material, softer material, and decomposed granite. Finally, rounding it out in all this green, in all these circles, would be new landscaping and new trees that would also provide on this side here actually some stormwater treatment measures as well. just to give you a flavor of what some of these elements would look like, we prepared these inspiration images as we present this concept. So when we talk about informal play, we're looking at kind of small climbing structures for the very youngest of kids, the 2 to 5 year olds, with safety surfacing down below. For the stormwater treatment, we're looking at swales that still could provide some really wonderful greenery and vibrancy. We are going to be locating a bottle filler and drinking fountain, boulders for not only aesthetics, but also a little bit of protection as well. Those are those concrete seat blocks, picnic tables, maybe some fun seating for the parents. And then this is the style of paving that we're looking at for the flexible plaza up top. Finally, we wanted to give you a little bit more of a glimpse of what it could look like. So we wanted to give you some before and after images. So here's a visual simulation. This shows existing conditions and then what the project would look like. So on the left-hand side, this is the planter that borders San Mateo Avenue in this new street trees, the seat blocks, new San Mateo Avenue sidewalks, open plaza, small stage with overhead trellis, and definitely leaving the opportunity for new art and murals to be applied to the building that's adjacent. The next image shows as I'm down in the parking lot looking back up to the site, you will notice that there is a little bit of grade difference, and that's what we've addressed in the walkway separating the two zones. And this is what that zone would look like. You can see the upper plaza, the festoon lighting, the stage, and the trellis work above and in the background. You can see the walkway leading down to the lower family zone, different style paving, different style furniture, smaller play area to allow for the youngest of kids to be entertained while mom and dad are listening to some music. So with that, I'll stop sharing and make myself available for any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Brian. Brian and Anne, I think the board had brought up previously a few questions, and it would be helpful to maybe address some of the concerns. One related to the material of the play structures and whether that would be, material that wouldn't get too hot and be safe. A second question came up, I believe, related to seating and the adequacy of seating, whether those chairs would be secured, and if that was, that was something that we could think about. And then I think we also talked a little bit about the businesses. I believe it's West Coast Cafe that's adjacent on one side, and whether their input, if not necessary, had been considered. I don't know if maybe we could just quickly address those points that were previously brought up by board members.
And why don't I take the first two, or the first, I can take the start of the first two with the play area and the seating, and you can talk about input from there. So with the play feature itself, absolutely, we've got a certified playground safety inspector as part of our staff that will ensure review of the play structures, whatever we propose to ensure that they're safe. Every single play space or piece actually has to have a fall zone to ensure the safety of the kids using it, as well as an adequate surface underneath. So because of space restrictions, what we're looking at are small events, small climbing pieces, because we don't have a ton of space down there, but it still would provide something fun for the youngest kids to climb on. And then underneath, we'd be proposing rubberized surfacing for a safety surfacing underneath. Absolutely, these structures would be designed so that they wouldn't get hot and they would be safe for the kids to utilize. As we move from the concept stage into design, development, and construction documents, we'll be continuing to refine the proposed pieces and have exact specifications for the exact climbing piece to be proposed. Regarding seating, I mentioned we've got permanent seating with all the seat blocks that are associated at San Mateo Avenue, as well as adjacent to the stage. The stage itself is actually 18 inches elevated and will provide informal seating as well. The picnic tables, I think we would be actually proposing to make those permanent or bolted down. So the picnic tables would be located there. And then what we're looking at and still need to evaluate is the upper plaza kind of movable furniture. The whole thought and idea of having cafe chairs and such that could be moved and small groups be able to be formed and they can move the furniture. It's a great idea. It's working really well up in public plazas like Noe Valley. But that's something that we certainly will need to explore during the design development phase. The lower seating, we feel we can find something creative like an Adirondack chair, but at the same time, it can be bolted down and can be protected from movement. So the only furniture that we're really proposing to potentially have some movement is the cafe chairs. For some flexibility there, but we do understand the challenges of that. We need to continue to explore that during design development.
And then regarding the last about West Coast Cafe specifically, I apologize because I do remember you bringing that up, and I did not go and reach out to them directly, nor did any other staff member. I know that the 2 council members that make up the committee, they had the conceptual drawings, and they were visiting the different downtown businesses in order to kind of shop it around, but I can't say specifically if West Coast Cafe was contacted. That is something we'd actually have to work closely with them because it really, as clearly the plan abuts their business. I'm not sure if it was this body, but there was a group we were talking to about this, and they mentioned we should encourage them to do a takeout window on the side of the plaza. So, but there was interest on their behalf at one point of doing some type of seating area in there. So it kind of was that request that came out quite a while ago that kind of evolved into this and making sure we had someplace in the downtown where people could, take their food and eat. So, we're anticipating a positive reaction to this and in partnership, but it absolutely is something that we definitely need to do. So we have a definite conversation going with them.
Through the chair,
Right.
I eat lunch there quite often. And I said, we're going to be doing this big project. And, they're really looking forward to it. The
They are? Okay.
only thing is you'll have to touch base with them because a lot of people park in the back and walk right through, and you won't be able to do that during construction. They do have a rear entrance though. So, but I know they're looking forward to it.
Yeah. I think that'll be the biggest disruption until we have the new path. People will have to take the longer route around to the alley that's further to the south.
And that reminds me, the committee also did ask, I think it was actually Jim who talked about the takeout window, but I think the committee also asked about how the, construction would affect traffic on the avenue. And because there is that access from the rear, the response that we got would be that it would be minimally intrusive. So does anyone else on the board have questions?
Okay, if no board members have any questions, are there any questions from the public?
I don't see any hands raised.
Okay, great, thank you. So we have a resolution before the board to approve the strategic grant supporting the Centennial Plaza Improvement Project to the City of San Bruno in the amount of $500,000. May I have a motion to adopt the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Awesome. I'd like to turn the time over to Secretary Raul to take a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Superior Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pat Glenn.
Aye, and it looks wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Roy
Aye.
and President Natani Jones.
Aye.
There we go. All in.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting.
Thank you.
Very exciting. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Brian and Ann, for the presentation this evening. And we look forward to meeting you all again. Thank you. Okay, we are going to now move into item C. Receive report from the City of San Bruno on the 2022 Community Day and adopt the resolution approving strategic grant supporting the 2023 Community Day of the City of San Bruno in the amount of $30,000. The foundation has supported the city's Community Day celebration every year since 2016, except for 2020 and 2021, when the city was unable to hold the event during the pandemic. Pre-pandemic, the event was held in San Bruno City Park, but earlier this year, while City Park is a construction zone with the building of the new Recreation and Aquatic Center, the city relaunched the event as a downtown street fair along San Mateo Avenue, featuring local businesses and community groups and the community's cultural diversity. In 2022, the foundation was the lead outside sponsor of the event with a $30,000 strategic grant. Excuse me. The city has begun preparations for the 2023 event and is requesting another $30,000 grant. Community Services Director Matola will first report on the 2022 Community Day and let us know how the event transpired. Then she'll present the city's plans for the 2023 event, including the budget and its request for another strategic grant. The board will then consider the resolution for the 2023 Community Day grant. And I'll now turn the time over to you, Ann.
Thank you again, Madam President. So this is going to be a really fun presentation because it's filled with these really vivid images of the wonderful experience we had at the Community Day of 2022. And as mentioned, we're going to present to you the budget for the 23 event to support our request for another strategic grant. So we have the overview planned for you tonight. We're going to talk about some of the lessons learned and also talk about the improvements for 2023. And then again, we do have the budget summary. We want to show you the wrap-up budget with the actual cost of the event and show you some of the changes projected for 2023, which will inform the request for the strategic grant. So the wrap-up and the requests are a little bit more blurred in this presentation. Okay, so if you didn't make it to the event, or if you did make it to the event, this map and guide should look a bit familiar to you. It's the program that was handed out that day. People could get these at different kiosks that line the streets of the event. And it kind of gives you an overview of the plan that we made for the street festival. You know, we had two goals going into this year. We wanted to relocate an event that was traditionally held in City Park to downtown San Mateo Ave and make it a street festival. And we really wanted to capitalize the unity and community and celebrate the cultural diversity of San Bruno. When you look at this, and you can see on the bottom right, the global food guide, we intentionally used the backdrop of downtown's diverse restaurant community as an event attraction. We didn't have any food vendors. We created this global food map of 27 restaurants that decided to participate on that day. And we really encouraged the event goers to go and discover all this food that we have on the avenue. We also had 32 different artists and vendor booths and another 14 service and nonprofit and city sponsored booths. We estimated the attendance to be about 5,000 people during the day. And if you were there, the Posey Parade began and it went through it, and the event started immediately afterwards. And we weren't sure what the dynamic was. With the first time event, you're never really sure like what the crowd will be, what the attendance will be. we really thought that we were going to have a big swell of attendance and then it would reduce as the parade participants and spectators dissipated. But what we found was the crowd was sustained throughout the day, and we were running into a lot of family members, again, that had never been to the downtown, didn't know it was there. They didn't really have a connection to the age range that went over to City Park and played in the baseball game. So it was really a wonderful, sustained crowd throughout the day. And in case you missed it, we have some really beautiful photos to walk you through the different elements of the event that worked really well. And so we do hope to grow upon these in the future. So we had amazing entertainment throughout the day. And again, we wanted to reimagine this event to highlight the cultural diversity of San Bruno. And so we created a really vibrant showcase of color and movement and music at the main stage that was located at Centennial Plaza, not Centennial Park, as the slide says. Pictured here is Ballet Folklorico Mexico Vivo. And they were kind of showstoppers, and it was this beautiful movement, and they did a number of different dances in all these different costumes, and it was just a really spectacular way to open the event. We highlighted Polynesian dance. This group, Rahiti Polynesian Dance, they were really engaging in storytelling about the history of dance. It was educational, it was entertaining. And one of the things I really enjoyed about this, there was a really great generational diversity in their performers. I mean, that's why I picked this photo here. So it was just something that surprised us. You know, you bring in these entertainers, we watched lots of video to make sure we were getting the quality that we wanted. But sometimes you really know the depth of quality that you'll get until they're in person performing. And this group, I thought, really was wonderful in the education component that they provided. We also had this really wonderful R&B group, Big Blue Soul Quartet. They were planned as a closing act. We thought we wanted to do something a little bit more Main Street, but just really kind of a nice vibe to close down the event. We had to do some last minute shuffling. You know, we had a group that was wiped out because of COVID, our taiko drummers, but we'll want them back for next year. But we were really good at kind of on the fly, like making some of the sets go longer. We had a DJ do some fill for us. It was a little more than that on the stage than we initially planned. But all in all, the main stage was really this great feature throughout the day with sustained crowds. We also had an amazing acoustic stage that was at the intersection of San Mateo Avenue and Angus. And there were 3 one-person acts that played throughout the day. What I really liked about this, it was a totally different vibe. So the kind of the hub and all the energy of the activity was at Genevieve and San Mateo Avenue, because you had Centennial Park on one side with the main stage and the kids zone that was in Citibank Plaza across the street. And then at the end, if you wanted to chill out a little bit, but still be in a street fair environment, were these wonderful performers. And a very interesting thing to think about as we're talking about now renovating Centennial Plaza, this scale of these single performers will be wonderful to kind of showcase throughout the year and doing these small music series with that small stage that will be built in at Centennial Plaza. So it was really great to figure out how to program the downtown, the response to the different type of entertainment, but these folks are really well received. And then we had a few other things that were kind of peppered throughout the site to add a little bit more texture. We had a face painter that had lines throughout the day. We actually provided that free for the day. And then there was an entertainer, very popular with the kids, the lizard lady, no thank you, who was showing off her collection of snakes and lizards, and she would just walk around with them. And it was really loads of fun, but I took a hard pass on that one myself. We have the kids zone, as I mentioned, in Citibank parking lot. And I really apologize. I don't have a lot of good pictures of the different features, but we did have mini golf. And there were a number of different inflatables, kind of different sizes to kind of cover a good range of the children that we knew would attend. And we also had a rock climbing wall that was very popular throughout the day. The art block was what we called the area between Sylvan and Angus. And we had a number of activities that were happening here that were really, really wonderful. Yeah, and one thing I want to call out to you, if you look at the sign that says Art Block, I don't know if you noticed that we tried to do some branding throughout the site so we could demark the different areas. And we use it as an opportunity to give you a big shout out. So the San Bruno Community Foundation, we took a pause to thank you at every intersection, every place we could, so people would know that you were behind this event. Okay, so on the Art Block, we had a chalk art activity that was led by 5 different local artists. This was the activity that was sponsored by the Culture and Arts Commission. So they funded the stipend for these artists, as well as all the materials for the chalk art. And so it was really fun watching some of these professional muralists create some amazing chalk art, while a lot of the patrons would grab a stick and they would doodle beside them. This is probably midway during the event. It was covered by the end of the day. We even had somebody try to block a street sweeper so we could preserve it. But it was some pretty spectacular finishes. The Art Block also include different vendors. And so we had a lot of artists, and we even had a cellist that came out and they parked themselves in front of Starbucks. And that was a really nice little add-in. And there were painters, and then we had other type of vendors that had more handmade goods like cards. And this woman made these different hand-poured ceramic pots for plants. We also had, we called this year the this and that. And we had a very interesting logistical issue where we thought we were going to be able to put vendors in the block between Keynes and Angus. But because of the traffic flow that we had to comply with, like everything going in one direction, we weren't really able to have vendors turn and park in front of kind of where the recreation office is at Fireman's Hall. And so we decided to fill it with things that were very movable and very active, things that we could deploy rather easily, since it was going to be the event staff and city staff that would have to put it out there. So we lined up the block. We had these giant Connect 4 games. We had ping pong tables and cornhole. And it was amazing because people were there playing throughout the day. We even had a couple of restaurant owners who challenged each other. And it was a very interesting way just to fill space. And it kind of filled the gap towards the very north end of the event where we had the Cha-Cha truck. We had vehicles from police, fire, public works, and parks. And it was actually a lot of activity there during the day. But that Cha-Cha truck, it also served a purpose to help kind of create additional barriers, like just additional layer of protection at, at an end of one of the main roads. The heart of San Bruno was the area. It was kind of in between. It was like in front of Centennial down towards Sylvan. And this is where we put all of our different nonprofit partners, all the different city booths. And we even had some of our contract program providers located here. Leading up to the event, we did a countdown on Facebook and Insta. And on most of these posts, you could link back to the city website that we were keeping up to date with more detailed information about the different events that were going to happen at the event, the different components. And they're kind of like hotel card shaped postcards. We had these printed and they were distributed to all of our restaurant partners and any of the businesses that wanted to carry them and distribute them throughout the week so we could do some marketing on the avenue. Okay, so we had some good lessons learned. So one of the interesting things was when we were trying to figure out how to do the vendors and did we want to bring, do it staff, and there are things called vendor brokers and people you can contract with. We knew we wanted to kind of keep the local feel, keep it San Bruno. And so we reached out to some local community artists to help us recruit and fill in this vendor area. And what we realized that, they had the best of intentions and really wanted to help us, but they went a little rogue on some of the information that they were so excited to give their vendors, and they were coming up with their own setup plan, which unfortunately was conflicting with the safety plan. Because I like to say events are safety exercises with lots of decoration. You have to plan them quite artfully and precisely in order to make sure that all your safety mechanisms are in place. and loaded in vendors was a really big deal. And so there were some logistical challenges that we were able to work closely with the PD to correct on in the field. It happens all the time. It was done, pretty elegantly. But we really do think that this is a component that staff will take over 100% in the 2023 event. Another lesson learned was about the surveying process. Our intention was, and we created a survey that people could scan a QR code and go do kind of a real brief survey monkey. We had these located at our different information booths. Now, I come from a festival background, and so this was like a good size, street festival, but for the event team and the staff that were there, it was a little bit of a bigger scale that they were used to. And so they were having trouble like actively managing the survey. And so it was there kind of as a passive sign that people would have to see to know that needed to scan it. So in our staffing plan for the next year, we do want to make sure that there are survey ambassadors, if you will, like really actively having people, hey, scan this, fill this out, and maybe do some incentive swag or something even for people to fill them out, because we really want to understand what the experience is, where people want to see us improve, elements that they like that we could do away with, things that we could add. And so we're really looking forward to making some improvements in our surveying. And as far as the street closure plan, I have to say that, working with PD and Public Works on this was an amazing internal team building exercise. One of the things that happened this year with this festival, a really good thing, is that we complied with all of the appropriate traffic law requirements in the closure of the downtown. I think you may have heard that there was a little bit of a challenge with the Lions Parade, in that we were trying to work with them, and we're going to try to work with them this year to help them cross El Camino by working early to get a permit from Caltrans. And so not only were we not crossing that properly, but we weren't even closing the downtown for the parade. And so we wanted to do it right. So we, certainly as the city, we want to set the example that we want to make sure that we're complying with all the appropriate safety laws and codes, so that if we ask that of another organization, that we're not taking any shortcuts either. In order to do this, it required a lot of different equipment to create the hard closures that we needed. And it went off really well. But what we did realize is that we need to increase. What we ended up doing is we used vehicles where it was okay and acceptable, but we probably should have used either barriers or barricades. And you can rent this equipment a bit more affordably than purchasing it. And so we've built that into the budget for next year. Oops, did I go the wrong way? Yes. Okay. So this is the budget. This is how we ended up for the event that we just had. So our total expenses were a little over $76,000. We were $2,700 over the budget that we presented you when we asked for the grant, and a lot of it had to do with some of the logistics supplies that we needed, and we didn't really have the actual cost, because when we came to you, we weren't quite sure what that street closure plan was. And we were able to absorb that with some savings that we had within the recreation budget. So we were fine. It was the general fund picked that up. Now, looking forward to the 2023 event, I wanted to do a side-by-side with, the actuals this year and what we're asking for. And so some of the current concerns that we have and things that have happened since Community Day are escalations in cost of gas. And so through this, so with the entertainment and with the logistics support, there was a generator as part of the stage. A lot of the generators is as part of the, the inflatables. I mean, generators for the inflatables. And so we're mindful that there are probably going to be some increases. We wanted to build that in. I think this is actually really conservative and maybe a worst case scenario. And then the biggest jump truly is in the logistics and supply, and that is for the barricade and barrier rental that we want to deploy next year. And so, with the request from the Community Foundation, the general fund, it's about the same. It's a little bit less of an impact than last year. We also have a different sponsorship target. And so I should have done a slide on this. I apologize, I didn't. So what's different is we now have a really wonderful, successful year. And I think a lot of people had a wonderful experience with this. And what we want to do is put a package together to try to get more sponsorships and be really thoughtful about giving people ownership of the different, we have the different stages and the different areas. And I think that we're going to be able to attach people's brands with these areas and make it a meaningful sponsorship experience. So I'm hoping this is a conservative sponsorship number. Again, it's one of those things, economy sometimes will impact that, and we'll see as we go along what that is. But I do think 20,000 is a conservative target for us for next year. So I believe that is my last slide, and I am happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Anne. Are there any questions from the board? Comments? Yes, Secretary Gomez.
Yeah, just Anne, want to thank you for a great presentation. And again, the slides were really fun to watch. I was unable to attend Community Day last year, so it was really nice to see that the pictures come through and it looked like everyone had a really great time. So I thank you for sharing that. And I also love the way you weaved in or highlighted unity and community in the sense of bringing everything together. So very clever, I love it. But just to have a logistical question in the sense that for planning for 23, in the sense that if Centennial Park is going to be under construction, what would you guys do for the actual stand or band or what is the planning for that?
Yeah, so with the timeline of the construction, we think it's actually going to happen right after that, right after Community Day, because we need to create construction documents and then go out to bid and then kind of figure out the activation plan. So that's going to take a few months. And I don't have the timeline that we submitted to the committee. I don't have that in front of me, but I'm pretty sure the way the timeline was laid out that it started like right after Community Day.
Perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
We need to move our tree to the plaza of the rack, which should be ready in time. I think we'll be under construction during the tree lighting, when we've done the tree lighting.
Nice.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Sure.
Board Member Moreno.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Hi, Anne. Thank you for your presentation. I love all the colors. I love the diversity of it. I love how we honored different cultural performances. And so I definitely think we're on the right track there. You said, I don't know if you didn't finish your sentence or maybe you don't have this information, but you said you were expecting 5,000 people and then I didn't hear any more about population, or did I miss it? Do you have a count, like how many people were there throughout the whole day, like a total?
Yeah, and it's like estimating. There are interesting ways to estimate crowd estimates. We estimated at 5,000. We actually didn't know what to expect. We were hoping for like a couple of thousand, but we estimated about 5,000, and we asked the police to verify it because they tend to do these, they just have a general sense from working different festivals and whatnot.
I see.
Yeah, so, but it was absolutely sustained throughout the day. Wow. There was like a small drop off right after the parade, but really not much. And I know I saw a couple of you walking around. I don't know if you experienced that as well. It seemed to be, it was packed like nonstop in front of the stage and all through the children's area. It was the chalk just kept people coming. It was just, for the first time of doing a new format event, it's kind of like, when you have a party and you send out invitations, you're not sure who's going to show up. It kind of is that feeling, but we were just overjoyed as staff. And it really kind of caught us off guard, like in the best of ways. So we feel that we really have to up our game for next year.
Yeah. So I guess just to be clear, you were thinking or expecting or hoping for 2,000, but your estimate was that you had 5,000 people throughout the day. And so what are you anticipating for 2023?
Yeah. So there's a bit of build out that we can do with the events. And so for instance, the vendors, there was lots of kind of space in between it. And I think we can add a little bit more. So that's more of an experience. It's more of a market experience for that section of the event. the area where we had the this and that and all the games, we really want to activate it. And one of the things that a number of people came up to me, asked about, was some type of a beer garden or lounge type experience. And so the best way to do those is partnering with some type of a nonprofit, some type of nonprofit or service organization within the community. And I think we have some amazing partners that would be up for that. And so we do want to build out just a few more of these experiences. And so we're starting kind of the reformatting of the event probably in December. And so those are some of the things that we need to do, but you want to create more. I think the children's area has to be thought out just a little bit differently. That's another thing. Logistically, sometimes you don't know what happens until you're there on site. And even though the company we use came out and measured, we want to work with them a little bit closely to have a bit more of a diversity of what's there. So I think part of it is the diversity of the experiences that we're allowing people to have. Even the art activity, it was one big art activity. And I think that's really great, but I think there's a way to kind of mix it up a little bit so you're moving people through the event. And so that area that had all the different ping pong games, that could actually be an activity area because it's a little bit more temporary and you don't need vendors to kind of drive vehicles in to set that up. So we're looking at reformatting and relocating things to keep the crowd. The key is to kind of create more of a draw for the crowd. So we don't want to put more things up at Genevieve. We want to get things more towards the north end at like Angus, between Angus and Canes.
And were the global food vendors or the restaurants, local restaurants, did they have a good experience?
They did. They really did. And I just think it was really wonderful because doing events for so long, one of the things you hear a lot about is food. And I didn't hear a complaint about food. And the rest, so it was nice from the patron perspective. Again, the one thing I think people wanted was just a place to sit back and enjoy the energy, the entertainment, and but that's different. That's a beer garden, but the actual food experience, it seemed to have worked. I think that some of the comments we had was they wish that the vendors maybe just kind of created a menu for that day where there was like maybe a couple of just grab and go options, and that's feedback we're giving to them, or we've given to them, just to help them with their sales.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to supporting it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Board Member Perry.
In terms of the outreach and sort of advertising or getting the word out, did you feel that the efforts were adequate? And I'm asking the question just in terms of whether anything there would be done differently. It sounds like you had more of a turnout than expected, so maybe not. But I'm thinking about, for example, the Halloween merchant event that we attended. I had a hard time actually finding enough information out there. I happened to go into the stores, and the thing was, I was going into stores as I ordinarily would as a regular customer. And so I knew about it, but in terms of getting the word out, whether it's just flyers and mailboxes or I don't know what, but it's just something that occurred to me that maybe getting the word spread further out, because sort of doing it just on the avenue seemed a little, people are the people that are already coming there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so marketing is becoming very, as all of you know, right? Marketing is becoming not what's the new thing. It's like you're adding, because everybody has their way of receiving stuff. So it's like more touch points. And so we did that, we did the card, and we tried to drop it off at some other places too, but it was a way for the avenue to feel like the different community members on the avenue to feel that they could invite people to their party, right? So we have, like in recreation, we have really great email, e-serve lists and whatnot, as does the library. And so we were also pushing information out through those resources as well. Because a lot of the marketing through COVID, we stopped printing our guide, which goes to every household. So I think we're going to see a shift in that. I'm not sure when we're going to publish the first next guide. It'll be kind of coordinated with anticipation of the rack opening. But yeah, I mean, we have to strategize a little bit differently. But some of the questions to ask are, well, if this worked with what we did and it's the right scale, and if this is San Bruno celebration, I mean, like that's a success. It's like, how do we measure success? And I think our community feeling welcome and new community members discovering the community. Again, we had it empirically. I wish we had it in the measured survey because we were getting that from people that we were speaking to. So I don't know how much differently it will be marketed this year, because we want this to be, you know, San Bruno celebration of San Bruno. And if other people discover us, that's wonderful. But maybe we come up with a different festival for that, or a different event for that.
Any other questions or comments from the board? Well, Anne, thank you for the presentation. Really loved how detailed it was. I think I really appreciate you all elevating and promoting diversity and really elevating community, and especially our local merchants on San Mateo Avenue. I love that idea of using them versus bringing in other vendors, and why not use who we already have. So
Yeah.
Congratulations. I thought it was
Thank
great.
you.
Thank you so much. Are there any comments or questions from the public?
Yes, we do have one hand raised. I'm not sure how to pronounce the name, but Gemma Lee. I'm going to allow you to talk and you'll have 3 minutes.
Hi, my name is, I'm actually the husband of Jim Lee. I'm the co-owner of Catch 22 Salon and Boutique on San Mateo Avenue. First, I want to thank Anne for putting together a great presentation, and the San Bruno Community Foundation for approving and funding this year's Community Day. I just want to comment that, you know, we were so glad to have that the San Bruno Park was actually under construction and kind of forced this community day to happen in downtown. As one of the newer merchants in downtown, we were so happy to see that the crowds and the feedback that we received from all the visitors that came into our salon and boutique was so positive that, you know, we're hoping that the community foundation approves this year's community day. I think there's plenty of opportunity to partner with the merchants and other businesses in the surrounding San Bruno area to help market this. And we've got so many ideas that can help really drive more and more of the community to the downtown area, because it is a place where a lot of residents don't even know that there's all these new merchants and restaurants downtown. They take their business to surrounding cities, to Millbrae, to Burlingame, San Mateo, and South City. So it's a wonderful way, in my opinion, I'm sure is shared by other merchants, to bring more San Bruno residents, even you know, folks that fly in from SFO. You know, SFO's in our backyard. They didn't know that there was a place to go eat, shop, get a haircut, and all that good stuff in downtown. So again, a great way to help promote you know, our city and especially our community. So look forward to partnering with the Community Foundation and help make hopefully the 2023 Community Day a huge success. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for the comment. Are there any other comments from the public? We welcome you to use the raise your hand icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen.
I do not see any other hands raised.
Okay, great. Thank you, Leslie. We have a resolution before the board to approve the strategic grant supporting the 2023 Community Day to the City of San Bruno in the amount of $30,000. May I have a motion to adopt this resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. Thank you so much. I'll turn the time over to Secretary Gomez to take a roll call vote, please.
Thank you, President Natani Jones. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Superior Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pac Lynn,
Aye.
Secretary Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Ruane,
Aye.
and President Antoni Jones.
Aye.
There you go. All in.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations. Thank you again, Anne, for the report. We look forward to hearing more about Community Day as we get closer to the event. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Okay. See you soon.
Thank you. We're going to move on to item D on the agenda, receive report on other programs, including Community Grants Fund, Crestmore Scholarship, and other strategic grants. I'll turn the time over to Executive Director Leslie Jaramillo.
Thank you. Just wanted to highlight some of our other grants. I would ask Program Manager Carrillo to turn on her camera if she's able, just because these are the programs that she helps manage and want to make sure she gets credit for that. First, just an update on the Community Grants Fund. As I mentioned at the last meeting, we received 44 applications this year, which is in the range that we typically do. Which provided a robust and competitive applicant pool. We had a lot of repeat applicants as well as a number of new applicants, which was great to see. The applications are currently in the second stage of review, where we have a panel of 12 community volunteers reviewing and rating the applications based on the 5 criteria set forth in the program guidelines. Those criteria are the benefits of the proposed program to the San Bruno community, the proposal's alignment with one of the foundation's focus areas, the program methodology and budget, the requested grant amount in relation to the anticipated community benefit, and the organization's track record, stability, and financial health. Those criteria have not changed. The panel will meet to discuss the applications and make a recommendation on grant awards to the board, and the goal is for the board to consider and approve grant awards at our next meeting on December 7th. With the $100,000 donation from Google.org and YouTube that we received earlier this year, we will be able to award grants totaling $300,000 this cycle. Thank you to Jessica for shepherding this program, dealing with all the applications as they came in and all the loose ends, because they aren't always quite as complete as you hope, and doing sort of the initial round of review, making sure that applications were complete, that applicants were eligible before we pass them on to the panel. So that will be the featured event for our next board meeting. So that's always a long meeting because we do invite them to come speak. So be prepared for that. The second program I wanted to highlight is our Crestmore Scholarship. That is our other homegrown program that will launch again in December under the normal cycle. Usually, probably the second week of December, we will be distributing all of the marketing materials, and the online application will go live. We'd like to get the information out to the schools before the winter break, in case there are any eager students who want to use their break to get started on their application. We are in the process of reviewing everything for the 2023 program and do not anticipate making any significant changes. We will again offer both virtual and in-person workshops at Skyline College and Cappuccino High School to educate students on the scholarship and kind of walk them through the application process. We will make sure that we'll do at least some virtual to make them available for students who don't go to CAP or Skyline but are still eligible to participate. And the application deadline will be March 7th, 2023. We usually give out the notices to the students in late April, so they are able to factor it in to their college decisions. And then we will welcome the new round of Crestmore Scholars at our June board meeting, as always. Again, Jessica will be the point person running that program. And then finally, just an update on the San Bruno Recreation and Aquatic Center. October is the month that we get a round of grant reports on the 6 active RAC grants. On Friday and Monday, we received those grant reports from the city of San Bruno. The construction report usually comes in the middle of the month, where all the others come in at the end of the month. The construction grant, though, didn't come in until right at the end of the month because of the transition in the finance director who shepherds that grant report process. As you know, or as you may know, Chin Yu's son, who was the city's finance director, left in recent months, and Bobby McGee, the interim finance director, needed to get up to speed and assigned a new staffer in the finance department who will be my main contact on that going forward. So we've got, I think, a good process in place moving forward. We are in the process of making this round of quarterly grant payments for the RAC to the city, totaling about $8.34 million, which was right on track with what the projected estimate was. 8 million of that was for the construction grant. Not surprisingly, if you have been in the park recently, you have seen that construction is moving along. The roof is up. There's a lot being done, and all of those supplies cost money. So we are paying that out. Once those payments are made, likely early next week, the foundation will have paid out a total of 32.4 million of the 50 million, leaving a balance of just under 17.6 million left to pay. So we are definitely moving along in those payments, and as a result, in the next set of monthly financial statements for the foundation, you will see our balance sheet going down because we are paying out those grants. The city will submit its next set of RAC grant reports in January, which is also when the board will receive its quarterly update from the team from the city. So that's when we'll be getting our next major update on the RAC. That is my report on our other programs. Happy to answer any questions the board or the public has.
Any questions from the board? Okay. Are there any questions from the public?
I do not see any hands raised.
Okay. Well, thank you so much. That was a report only, and no action is to be taken on that item. Moving on to item E, elect the officers for 2023 President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer. The foundation's bylaws call for the annual election of President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer, whose terms start on January 1st. In 2016, the board adopted principles and processes which govern the foundation's election of officers. Under this process, officer elections are held no later than the board's regular November meeting, so that per the bylaws, the San Bruno City Council can consider and approve the officers by December 31st. Following the adopted process, I'll be calling for nominations in the following order: President, Vice President, Secretary, and Treasurer. Is there any discussion before I begin to call for nominations? No? Okay, excellent. Are there any questions from the public? No? Okay, excellent, thank you. So I will call for nominations for president.
To the board, I would like to nominate Nadani Jones for a second year as our fearless leader and or president.
We need a second.
I'll second that nomination.
Okay, great. Thank you. I will turn the time over to Secretary Gomez for a roll call vote.
Excellent. Thank you, President Nadani Jones. So board member Irving Torres is excused. Board member Supriya Perry.
Aye.
Board member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pat Glenn.
Aye.
Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Nadani Jones. I'm not sure if you say aye for yourself, but
I guess it, no, I'm kidding. Yes, I, okay.
Make it official.
Okay, thank you. I call nominations for vice president. And I would like to nominate Jim Ruane. Jim, yes. I was gonna say something really long and beautiful, Jim, but Raul was so excited.
You can go ahead, President Natani Jones.
I honestly was just gonna say how helpful it's been to have Jim's counsel and direction and just a thinking partner as we continue to serve the city and community members of San Bruno. And so I would really love for him to continue in this role.
Thank you, Melissa. Thank you.
And I second that officially.
Excellent. And I'll turn the time back to you, Secretary Gomez, for a roll call vote.
Excellent, thank you. So Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pac Lin.
Aye.
Raul Gomez is an aye. Vice President Jim Ruane.
Aye, sure.
And President Natani Jones.
Aye. Awesome. Thank you so much. I now call nominations for secretary.
I would like to nominate Raul Gomez as the secretary. It's been great working with him. I would like him to continue.
I'll
I
second
will
that.
second.
Beat you to it.
Excellent. I'll turn the time over to Secretary Gomez to run a roll call vote.
Thank you, all three of you. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pac Lin.
Aye.
Raul Gomez is an aye. Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Natani Jones.
Aye.
There you go, all in.
Thank you. I now call for nominations for treasurer.
Through the chair, I would really like to nominate Pac Lin to continue the great work she's been doing the last year to continue.
I would like to second that.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Secretary Gomez, roll call vote, please.
Absolutely. Board Member Irving Torres is excused. Board Member Sapira Perry.
Aye.
Board Member Melissa Moreno.
Aye.
Treasurer Pac Lin.
Aye, and thank you.
Raul Gomez is an aye. Jim Ruane.
Aye.
And President Natani Jones.
Aye.
All accounted for. Congratulations.
Hey, congratulations. The 2023 foundation officers are Melissa Natani Jones, President, Jim Ruane, Vice President, Raul Gomez as Secretary, and Pac Lin as Treasurer. Congratulations to you all. Per the bylaws, the San Bruno City Council will consider approving our slate of elected officers at an upcoming meeting, most likely on December 13th. More information will be shared from Leslie regarding that. Excellent. Okay. Moving on to item number 9, board member comments. Would any of the board members like to make a comment? I'll just briefly say, as we're coming closer to the holidays, I'd love to wish all of you board members, your families, and your neighbors a very happy Thanksgiving and any other holiday that people are celebrating at this time, as well as our community.
Agreed. Well done. Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Okay, now we're going to move to item number 10. May I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I'll move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we are now adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, December 7th, 2022 at 7 p.m. when we will award our 2023 community grants. It's a big meeting, and it's always inspiring and an energizing meeting. So we hope everyone has a happy and safe Thanksgiving. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, public.
Happy holidays.
Everyone.
Thank you to the
Happy
public for
holidays.
being here with us tonight. Thank you.